The Inside Stepinac Basketball Podcast is back, and once again, it is brought to you by All Pro Cleaning and Restoration, a Balfour company, commercial, residential property restoration and construction company. Services include fire and water damage restoration, mold remediation, HVAC, duct cleaning, and complete construction services. Been a valued service provider for Westchester County and the Tri-State area for over 35 years and a proud supporter of Stepinac basketball, as is White Plains Hospital, a sponsor of GameDay One, and has been so good to high school athletics, Stepinac basketball, and GameDay One since we started. And now, the Inside Stepinac Basketball Podcast with Coach Patrick Massaroni. The Inside Stepinac Basketball Podcast, episode 4. Very excited. We still have more podcasts episodes than we have actually games played, but we are finally now in the win column here at Stepinac. Yeah. Coach Pat Massaroni, you know, you can't have your own podcast and be winless. So you got that first win on Friday. You beat Cardinal Hayes. Relief. First off, just watch some of the highlights of that. It is absolute insanity. And by the way, we want to thank All Pro Cleaning Restoration and White Plains Hospital. That gym, when you guys go there, I think every Friday night, but
no.
It's got to be crazy there.
We watched their game Tuesday, and we watch other Friday nights. Like it's different when we're there. It's different. I found out. So like NYPD shut the doors. Mm-hmm. There was people standing on the Grand Concourse, both sides, like parents of their own players, our fans, siblings. It was mayhem down there. Mayhem in a good way.
Yeah.
Like, it seems wherever we went to St. Francis, Baltimore last week or a week ago in Maryland. Nick gets great crowds, but it was great crowd. We go to Hayes on Friday. That's their biggest crowd of the year. I will watch all their games because they're going to stream them.
Yep.
It was their students were intense. Intense. I'm going to keep it PR here.
Yeah.
It was hot in there.
Yeah.
It was loud, and it was great road win for our guys. And come out, get up 11-0 to start. Hayes goes on a tremendous run. They made, I think, 7 or 8 threes at halftime. We come out and start the second half on a 20-2 run and kind of got it to double digits and then cruised midway through the third all the way to the finish.
83-74 win, 5 players in double figures. Adonis at 24. Just seemed like all things clicked, right? I mean, was it like the perfect bounce back after the opening game?
We had a great 6 days in between the 2 games, and we had a great week of practice. Credit to our guys and our older guys, where they're all old, but practice was intense. They were open to coaching. We had a really good week, and it was really it was a great road win for us. And our guest today will attest. He said he called me the next day, and I think he called Joe Loads too, and he said maybe we could play the game with no fans or on a Monday afternoon compared to that environment.
Yeah, let's go to our guest in because it's a guy who I greatly admire. I don't get to see as much. I don't cover as much. But Joe Arbitello, the head coach of Christ the King, he's our guest here today. He's joining us now via Zoom, and he's in his office. And it's funny because I see him on the Zoom. I see him. He's moving around. He's got a lot of things going on. He reminds me of Pat. Pat came in he stormed through the door today, and he's like, I got a 10 o'clock. I got to go. So, Joe Arbitello, first off, thanks for joining us. This is your debut. How much have you been hearing? You hear Inside Stepinac Basketball Podcast. Did you roll your eyes the first time you heard those words?
No. Pat is a creative guy. He's doing what he's supposed to do. You guys are elevating high school basketball. I'm an old man. I have a hard enough time signing on this morning.
No, it's all good. It's all good. And when I say roll the eyes, I mean it's something that Stepinac does so extremely well. You watch, you're obviously in the league. You're competing for championships. You see the way that they kind of market themselves, market their school. It's what Pat does for a living. Outside of, he also coaches basketball in his spare time, like yourself. Just talk to me first about you guys from Pat takes over as head coach. How many years ago, Coach?
Now 11.
11 years ago. He told me one of the first people he reached out to talk to and get advice from was the guy who was running the league in terms of winning championships, which was you. Do you remember him reaching out the first time?
Absolutely. I do. You know what? And that's when I said he'll attest to this. I told the Nike, this guy, Tony Dorado, who runs Nike for us, and I said, this is the next guy up. I knew that day because, when you don't have an ego and you're willing to ask and try to figure things out. And I'm not saying that I had all the answers, but you take a little bit from everybody. And I think that's the problem with the younger coaches today. Like, they got this huge ego that they know it all. And then I kind of just introduced Pat to a couple of people, and then he kicked down the door. He took it to a whole new level.
And to piggyback off that a little bit, Kevin, Joe, thanks for being on. And people are going to say, why did we have a coach in our league on and whatnot? And I think and you're going to hit on this a little bit, Kev. Like the CHSAA is about the CHSAA. Like when our guys won in Philly last weekend, all of us are reaching out to each other. We talk to each other as much as we want to take our heads off when we play. There is something about it that's unique and different than other leagues. But, my thing, and I said this to Swain, from day one, is like we're trying to be like the guys that have been successful, right? So, at the time, 11 years ago, Joe had 5 titles. Now he has 6, in my time. And, like, why not try to be like the programs that, are at the top, and that was my stance. So, and I think Joe hit a little bit, I always say to young coaches, to people that are coming in this business, like if you're not willing to learn and listen and take feedback, I don't think you could be successful. So to all the New York City people out there that say Joe and I don't like each other, that Joe hates Pat, Pat hates Joe, and they really don't like each other, and the people that try to divide us and start all this stuff, it's false. Joe's a friend. We've talked beyond basketball. I know his wife and his 2 kids and where his daughter's looking at school, and he's been on the phone with my daughter and my son and my wife. So I appreciate him being here, and also our friendship beyond the battles we've had, and been fortunate enough to beat him sometimes, and he's been fortunate enough to beat me sometimes.
Yeah. Coach, you agree?
100%. I mean, there's so many people that try to cause some kind of controversy, I guess, when you're on top, and it's just noise to me. Like, Pat and I have had plenty of conversations. Pat has helped, outside of basketball, my real job is being the principal of Christ the King High School. And Pat, what he's doing right now with his social media and all this, I took what he's doing and I kind of put that into Christ the King. So we were from like 90 seniors that were graduating my first year. We're up to 170, 180 kids in each class. And a lot has to do with like Pat guiding me in the right direction. He's young, he's innovative, and I listened very closely to him, and it definitely helped me with my job. Forget about basketball. So I'll always appreciate that, and I'll always appreciate, my relationship with Pat. There's not a game in the world. We're competitive. We want to beat each other. There's no doubt about it, right? Yep. But it never gets any further than that, and definitely, I know for him, and definitely for me.
Yeah. So one of the things I laugh at is if somebody in the outside world said, who's Joe Arbitello, somebody would say, oh, he's a Christ the King basketball coach, or Pat Massaroni, he's a Stepinac. I say, well, that's sort of what they do in their free time, because you have a real job. How is it right now? How difficult is it right now to be the principal of a school in New York City in 2025? And how do you still find time to be the basketball coach?
I mean, man, I really struggled with it my first 3 years because the school was not in a good place, and now it's just thriving. So I was able to hire another assistant principal and a really good dean. And this year is the first year since after COVID where I really feel like I'm totally engaged with my team. I would be lying to everybody to tell you like my main focus was just basketball. It's very, very difficult. You can't, and I use this analogy all the time. I can't be doing a shell drill at 3:15 in my gym and have a parent walk in and have a problem and say, hey, listen, I'll take care of that problem. Let me just finish up this shell drill that I'm doing with my varsity basketball team. So then I have to walk away. Yeah. So I've got a really good assistant in CJ Couch who I was able to bring back. And, I feel really, really good about it now. I didn't feel good about it for, the first 2-3 years. And I was ready to give it up. I got to be honest. If it wasn't better this year, this would be my retirement podcast right now.
Yeah. How many years, how did you get into coaching? How did you get into Christ the King, and how many years have you been there?
So I played at Christ the King from 91 to 95. I'll use the word playing loosely. I had Lamar Odom, Speedy Claxton, Eric Barkley. Did a lot of clapping. But, I was part of the team and we won, and those guys were young and I was so into it. And then I went to St. Joseph's in Brooklyn, and I was probably one of the best players on the team, and I shouldn't be the best player on anybody's team ever. So we play our first game, we lose by 30 and no one cares. And I'm like, yo, this is not for me. So I had the opportunity to come back and coach at Christ the King under like a legendary coach named Artie Cox as the JV assistant. And I did that for a while. And then we started the varsity B team. I coached that as the head coach. And then it was never my aspiration to be a varsity basketball coach, honestly. It kind of just happened. It wasn't my aspiration to be a principal. That kind of just happened too. But so that's how I wound up being the coach. I enjoyed it. My wife allowed me to do it. Thank God to Veronica. And that's how I wound up being a coach. I remember saying that if I could get one city championship in 10 years, I'd be so happy. If I could get two, it'd be legendary.
Yeah.
It's just 6 is a lot, and you become a product of your own success.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny you're talking about. I have this thing where I tell like my own kids, I say, don't go try and be a leader. Leaders ascend, right? Leaders find their way into those roles. I think both of you have done that in your regular jobs during the day and as coaches. And here you are, two of the most prominent coaches in the league. And Coach, give me an outlook right now on 2025-26 Christ the King. How did you guys look this weekend, and how do things look moving forward?
He pushed the whole event back Sunday, 35 minutes, but
They were down 8 with like 45 seconds to go. You know what? I love this team. I love that. I love the parents. I love the players. I knock on wood, it's been the best start to a year that I've had in a while. My guys practice hard. They play hard. I wasn't exactly thrilled with them on Sunday, but, we're a little young, so we're up and down. We were great opening night. I think we have a shot to be really, really good. I do. Listen, the guy sitting in the seat over there has the best team in the league, right? People don't want to say that. I don't know why the younger coaches don't follow what he does. Like, I don't. My career is almost over, right? I can't be sitting here on a podcast.
You'd be
it's
great.
Just not me. You know what I mean? It's not me. But, like, what he's doing is innovative. This is how you build your program. This is why he has all these guys. This is why his guys respect him. This is why parents respect him. Why forget about coaches in our league. From a national standpoint, people respect him. So, like, instead of criticizing this, I don't know why they want to step to the plate and do what he does. I wanted when they lost to St. Francis of Baltimore, like, I was upset. I don't want to lose. I don't want Stepinac to lose. But people were like happy about it, and I'm like, you should get your team to the level where people are happy that you lost, right?
Yeah.
Like that should be you, because that's where his program is. Everything that they do, like, now it's like, oh, they're not that good. No, they are that good. So I'm hoping to compete with them. Hopefully we can win the Brooklyn Queens Championship. They can win the Archdiocese, and I don't have to see them in the city championship, because I always say I only have to be better than them one game. If we played a 7-game series, I have no shot. We might as well mail it.
Yeah.
No one's beating them in a 7-game series. But in high school basketball, you only got to beat them one time.
Coach, you appreciate hearing that, Pat? Because I started the show last week saying there was a great sigh. There was great relief in New York. I could feel it when Stepinac lost. And Pat laughed. You got a little chuckle out of that.
Yeah, it was. And I told our team, like, I wasn't even mad that we lost. I kind of was, you don't want to lose to teach, but as we coach and you teach, it made for a great week of teaching and team camaraderie and no panic amongst our group. But it was funny, and we talked last week, Kevin and I, Joe, about like the DMs, the social media posts. I know Joe, he sees some stuff on social media, then he doesn't. Like, he rotates, when he's got time. Whereas, I'm on the opposite end of that. But and he knows that some stuff bothers me, which led to, I think, why Sunday's performance was what it was for us. But yeah, the dislike, and it's amazing to see the people that dislike the people on top, right? Mm-hmm. And I think successful people, between high school basketball in New York to successful grassroots programs to successful schools, people try to take those down instead of trying to thrive to continue to get better. Like, I think, I tell this story all the time, and being the Inside Stepinac Basketball Podcast, and the more and more listeners that are reaching out to us want some inside stuff. So we try to give them that. But to me, and for when I was always continuing to talk with Coach Swain from day one, it's like, how do we get to the level of some teams? And at the time, it was Christ the King, right? You had Lehigh. You go down to Matha, Joe, right, when Mike was there. Like, they were like, you try to mimic these schools that you're trying to be like. And, and still to this day, right, elite shoe sneaker deal Joe had. And he was getting new lighting and new scoreboards and new this, but also the national schedule. Like, how do you get to a national schedule?
Yeah.
And really, what nobody really remembers back, Joe was the one who got us invited to Torrey Pines. And it was like, hey, you might have to find some money to pay early on, but if you start winning, then there's some compensation that, the budget comes a little bit more when you're good. And without Joe and kind of giving some guidance, and I'm the same way. Like, and I think Joe is like, I'll reach out to guys in our league. Hey, do you want to get invited to Arby's or this? And Joe does the same thing. And that's where I think the misconception comes around New York a little bit. And not to go on a little bit tangent here, but I'm watching this New York City prospects. Joe knows these guys. They do this show Monday night on Instagram Live. And I'm watching this thing last night. I'm literally laying in bed, and my wife and I are listening to this. We turn the TV off. We're listening to this.
Yeah.
And the hate on this, like, why not rally New York City together and promote? Like, people are saying that Bud and I from Jefferson don't like each other. Like, Bud and I get along, we want to take his head off when we play, but so a little bit of rant there on this podcast, but it is what it is.
But that's nothing new though, Coach, right? Coach Arbs, that's nothing new. It's always been like this. Just more vocal now.
I mean, everybody said that me and Eddie Gonzalez hated each other. There was nothing further from the truth with that.
Yeah.
I remember telling Pat, it's funny he tells that story. I remember saying to Pat, if you win that tournament, you'll never pay to go to another high school tournament again. I was right. He won that tournament, he never paid to go to another high school tournament.
Only two New York teams in the history of that tournament that won the tournament, Stepinac and St. Raymond's.
That's amazing.
I knew Pat was, Pat has a drive to him. It's hard. It's like when you see a player, right? You can measure all the analytics you want, but you can't measure like heart and willingness to win and all those things. And Pat has that as far as just wanting to be great. And again, you have to really put your ego in check to reach out to Joe Arbitello and be like, hey, can you introduce me to this guy, or can you introduce me to that guy? And that's all it took was an introduction, and then he took care of it from there. Because you always got the guys that they want you to introduce, then they want you to help them, then they want you to go to, like, Pat took care of it himself. Once I made the introduction, he's probably got more connections than I do now.
Yeah, I think Coach Arbitello, one of the things he's great at is letting everything roll off his shoulder. Doesn't take anything personal, doesn't take anything to heart, And I think that just comes with time and experience, right? Yeah. You have seen New York City basketball, Catholic League basketball, everything change dramatically in your time, especially in the last 5 years. What are your thoughts on the direction that high school basketball in New York City is going with? Everyone talks about the transfer portal in college basketball. I'm like, the high school's had transfer portal forever. It's just been a little sleazier. Hasn't been like an actual thing. What are your thoughts about trying to keep kids in New York City against the be a traditional high school compared to being one of the other schools, we'll call them. What are kind of your viewpoints on all this?
And like you said, it's been going on forever. So at the end of the day, you signed up for this. You're coaching basketball.
Yeah.
People are going to try to steal your players. Get used to it. If they're not trying to steal your players, you're not good. Like, you're not going to win, so you have nothing to worry about. So, and I said this to John Buck, again, who I like. People say I dislike John Buck. I like John Buck a lot.
John Buck. Yeah.
I said, John, if I was you, I would be trying to steal every player from the team. I would try to steal Pat's players. Because that's what that's my job. Like, my team is on that national. I don't think it's good for the school in general, because I think it doesn't allow kids to come to your school from an admission standpoint. Mm-hmm. But that's what those schools do, right? And if you're doing the right thing and you got your guys in line, you can try to keep them. And if you don't, you don't. You got to coach the guys that are in front of you. I mean, we lost 4 guys this year, and we're still, in my opinion, really, really good. I will go back to one thing you said, Pat. Everybody had a sigh of relief, or Kevin. Yeah. Everybody had a sigh of relief when they lost. If anybody watched the game on Sunday, that sigh of relief had to go away, because no one was beating Stepinac. If they play like that, you might as well just write it in. It's over.
Yeah.
That's why I say I watched them play. I say, okay, I watched the Chaminade scrimmage. We can beat them if they play like this. But if they play like they played on Sunday, we got no shot. 92-70
win over Thomas Jefferson. I saw the highlights. You guys bent the rims at the county center. They're going to send you a bill. Bad. I think it was a little nuts. I watched that. Watched some of the game live and all. Another thing I want to just discuss with you quickly is you've obviously been fortunate to play in so many city championships, state tournament, federation. The federation tournament, I say this stuff only takes 3 or 4 years. That once you don't do it, it's like it never happened. It's like people just don't know, or they might remember. But do you think it ever should come back? Should there ever be a tournament where a Christ the King or Stepinac plays a Lehigh, plays a Thomas Jefferson in the on a big stage?
I mean, this is probably an unpopular thought. I hated the Federation Championship.
Okay, that's fine.
I did.
Yeah.
Like I went up and I played Cardozo at 10:45 in the morning. There was 3 people in the stands in Glens Falls. It was the most ridiculous thing. The next year we played them at my place. We had to close the hill. Like I just think I would like to play one game against the public school league, or even if we took the 3 best teams and the 3 best teams and played another tournament with them. But honestly, I driving up to Glens Falls to play in that thing, and it didn't do much for me. It really didn't. The city championship's packed. You win that, like you're so happy. Then you got 2 weeks off, and no one's there. It's freezing because of the ice skating ring, and fortunate enough to win it. But it was never that important to me.
Okay. Now, what if I told you, me and Pat know some people in Westchester County, we could play that at the county center? And I'm gonna tell you something. This is something that is very real. Ken Jenkins, who's the county executive, his people. I've talked to them about this. People from New York State, Robert Zayas, was down at the county center about a month ago for the Westchester Sports Hall of Fame. I sort of walked him around and was like, "Hey, man, this is it. This is the venue to have either states or federations. Would you be interested in that?"
Yeah, I mean, listen, I would play in it. I'm not a huge fan of it. I hope we win, so I have to play in it. I mean, listen, we played at the county center this last weekend, and I'm like, we played there, I think 2 years ago or last year, Pat. I don't remember, against Monroe, and it was a lot. This year it was a lot more fun. I don't know why. It just seemed like, again, like everything else Stepinac does and Pat does, it was on a high level. It was, it's a great place to play. I would love to play a federation there, without a doubt.
Excellent.
I do think, and this isn't to ruffle anybody's feathers. So I'm with Joe. You went up there, right? And you. Then one time we played at the arena. I think we tipped off like 9 o'clock on whatever night. You win. The next day you play like 8 o'clock. He played the morning shift. Then the following year we played at a high school. Right. I do think, and this isn't against the people in the state. I think some people that organize these events, right? They have 3, 4, 5 degrees, which is great. I have a couple. Everybody in this room has
you mean
a couple,
like college
right?
degrees? College degrees.
Yeah, they're really good at following like a rule book and a playbook.
Yeah.
And they don't get sport-minded people into the room to have the discussion. And I think that's part of it, right? And I don't know what the analytics are because it's been a couple years, but the one year we went, it was like 14 of the 18 teams were south of Stepinac. Were south of White Plains.
Yeah.
And now you got to fund it to go up there. You all have to go up there. You have to get up there. I think the PSAL was like 2 teams were taking one bus, 2 teams were taking another bus. They were all staying. Like it just, and I know, of course, Mike DePaoli had done so much, right, when he was at Fordham to get it down here, and I think it would have been electric.
Oh, that was with COVID.
And then COVID hit, and the 3-year contract went away, and then kind of that was it. So I do think a state championship, but you're seeing more and more, I think, the political side. Like Jersey just eliminated, they're done. There's no more
there's
state,
no
more state basketball. They still have football, but not basketball. Because people look at it from in an administrative way.
Yeah, and I get it. And I just think the public schools, when you had Mount Vernon, and when Mount Vernon was, they could compete, but and Niagara Falls a few times could compete, but that was basically it. None of the champions now couldn't compete with the league. I remember there was one year, the northernmost team, the team that was closest to Glens Falls of the teams in the Federation tournament, of all of them was Peekskill. Because they're north of Westchester. That was the closest team. They were an hour, 2-hour drive, Right. So it was kind of crazy to send everybody up there. But
we played boys and girls and then Lehigh.
Yeah,
those at Lehigh. They were 10 miles.
I know. And there was a time though when it made sense because the locals would want to turn out and see future college players, whatever. It just doesn't. It's just not that way anymore. But I do think the tournament existing on a good timeline in the proper location would work. And so we'll see. We'll see if we can make that happen. But let's do some rapid fire questions. This is the answers to these questions are either me or me, right? So it's either Joe or Pat. Who's got the better game day attire? You both dress so well. You're the only 2 coaches I think that might wear jackets to games, right? Is that right?
Joe wears a tie, so he's got to win that.
So Joe wins. Joe, you win that? You'll take game day attire? You're principal. You got to think. Who spends more time on their hair?
Pat.
Yeah, that was a trick question, Coach. Coach, Pat didn't even look.
Say the guy with the best hair.
Who's got the more stressful day job? The principal or the guy's got to raise the money for the school? It's a good question.
I think it's equal.
No,
I think that one is
equal. Maybe to the principal.
Who has the most famous person in their phone contacts? Who do you got?
Pat.
Really, Pat?
Yeah, I don't save numbers.
Save numbers. Who is your most famous contact, Coach? Pat?
In my phone, it's probably, I would say, probably Coach K.
Okay. Yep. And you texted him recently. Who comes out to now you both have your pregame routines, and I always feel like you guys come out like you don't ever really push starting lineups, but like who comes out last? Who comes out later in pregame? Are you on a normal time, Coach?
I think I'm on normal time. I think I am.
Coach,
I'm just miserable.
You just
I'm superstitious.
Pat. I think Coach Pat has you literally have to go by the minute.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, it's the jacket. He always has the jacket over the arm, and then once the jacket comes on, then he's coming out.
Then he's
a whole routine. I watched this thing for years.
It's like putting on his cape, right? I mean, that's basically what he's doing.
That's exactly right. I like that, Kevin.
We have who's the quickest to call timeout in a game?
Pat.
Neither of us call timeout. But
Yeah, we really don't.
Probably me.
Yeah, usually you call timeouts. You get behind first quarter. You get like 10-0, whatever.
No, we don't.
Doesn't happen.
We don't call timeouts.
You don't call timeouts. Who do the CHSAA refs like more?
Oof.
Oh.
Pat.
Nah.
Hey, I got a mean face.
Yeah.
You don't really argue with the refs though, but when you do,
What?
you do.
But when you're the senior guy in the
I do.
league and you've been doing it so long, it's hard. He'll afraid too. Yeah.
Saying I'm the senior guy in the league.
No, you're one of the veteran guys, right? Is Tom Frayer the one of the longest?
Freyer's got number one.
Yeah.
Joe McGrain from Xavier 2.
I forget about Joe McGrain. Yeah, of course. Yeah. All right. So you're up there, Coach. In the years. There's no more questions, but we have any other thoughts here before we let Coach Joe Arbs go back to his day job here?
I just think what you guys are doing is great. That's what I'll say. Absolutely great.
Yeah, I will. Just kind of throw out like a comment or conversation on, we're both for, and I think Joe will agree with this. Like we're both for New York City basketball, both for the Catholic League. I think we both want people to be innovative and think differently. Joe, I think Christ the King, since he's been the principal, has just taken huge strides. I say to him all the time, right? As a school, throw out basketball side of things. And, I think he's got the right people around him. I talked to his advancement or development director, alumni director. Everybody's got a different title everywhere. I told him the people that are doing his social media as a school side, now into basketball, just operating and thinking different. But, I wanted Joe on because, he's one, right? And I think people look at it sometimes as like the people on top don't like each other, one, and then two, I don't know how long I'll do it for. If I do it as long as Joe, why not him and Mo Hicks? They got 6 titles. Like, why not? People that say like they don't want to get it. And I go back to, and I remember, many years ago having a conversation with Joe. Like, we were at St. John's, right, and we lose that semifinal game to Malloy on what I still say like a phantom offensive rebound call, right? It's like I still remember people telling me, it's so hard to win one, right? And I never thought I'd get back. And we're in the same company, for Stepinac Christ the King. We're one of the 5 schools that have won 3 in a row, and whatnot. But I Joe, just sit down before you go back to being a principal and getting parents yelling at you and, getting ready for your big Chosen One event coming up, which I think is awesome.
The madhouse here right now.
Yeah.
A madhouse. Oh, my God.
Well, just kind of hit on, like, your message to the people out there in the New York City basketball world and not even Stepinac Christ the King, just your overall thoughts as we wrap up.
I think you hit on it a little bit with the hate. I think people should want New York City basketball to be great. And I think in order to be great, you have to look who's doing great things. And that's a tough thing to say as a man, right? But like Pat says, like I put my advancement team with Pat. I drove to Stepinac with my advancement team to sit with his people because it like you have to always know what your deficiencies are. If you don't know what your deficiencies are, you can't correct them, and you can't have somebody on your team to correct them. And I think people, I think ego male ego gets in the way of people being successful. I really do. If there's one message to any coach that I could ever give them is like, hey, look to see what people are doing, ask questions. You can learn things from the worst coach in the world. I tell Paul Gaveri, not that he's the worst coach in the world, Paul Gaveri, by out of bounds plays. Like me and Paul having conversations, like I learned a lot from him. I learned a lot from Jack Alisi. I learned a lot from Mo Hicks. And there's nothing wrong with Pat saying, hey, I want to beat Joe Arbitello. He's got 6. I want to get to 7 before Joe gets to get to 7. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's okay. That's fine. We're competitive. If you don't want to win titles and you don't want to beat me, I don't want to be in the same room as you. So I think that's another part of it too, as people see that as hate. No. Pat's program is great. He's trying to do something special. And we're going to try to stop him from doing it.
Yep. February 10th?
February 10th.
February
in Queens.
10th in Queens.
Hopefully the game
February
means
10th
nothing.
means nothing. I'm hoping to see him in March sometime. He can win by 100 February 10th.
We will have him back on the podcast that week. We'll talk some hoops going today. But Coach Joe Arbitello, thanks so much for joining us down in Crisis
Thanks,
Gang.
guys.
I know you got a busy schedule, so thanks so much. We'll see you soon.
Appreciate
Thanks,
you
Joe.
guys. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
He's awesome, Coach. That was a home run of a call on our guest this week. He was excellent, and he's very real and he's very complimentary. And I think I've known him long enough to know that like he wouldn't come on here and just be like, I got to say some nice things about Coach Pat because he invited me on his show.
Yeah.
Right? I think he's a very genuine guy.
He is, and I think people look at him as a tough cookie at times. And why did he decide to help me out? Why did he get me into Geico when it was at Christ the King and allow me a VIP pass? I don't know, and I'm kind of the same way. Guys I talk to in the league, and you want to see everybody in the non-league be successful, no matter where they are, who they play, and what they do. So. I still, like I said, I still remember vivid conversations from Swain and I saying, okay, Christ the King's at the top. Let's go to try to take them down. And they were when we started. They were. And if you look at it, I mean, the only active CHSAA AA champions are myself, Joe, and Joe Lodes. Those are the only 3 active in the league. There's some guys that have won A or B in previous years or vice versa. But the last 3 guys right now to win AA titles are Arbitello, Lodes, and myself, and Christ the King, Hayes, and Stepinac.
Your first championship, you beat them?
We beat them in 18.
Yep. And then you lost in 19.
Lost in 19. So at 18, we beat Christ the King. Unbelievable game.
Yep.
Still,
remember, Alan Griffin,
the dunk down the middle.
Yeah, that was amazing.
But they had Moses, Kofi Cockburn, all those guys. What's his name? Who went to Northeastern and grad Tyson Walker.
Yep.
And then we had Alan, Joel, AJ.
Is 2019
RJ.
the toughest game? You look back all the games
we
you
went
lost.
0 for 17 in the fourth quarter, up by 12, going in the fourth quarter, 0 for 17. Damn, bad memory right there.
Yeah,
But,
that's what I do. I bring it up because I know how the story ends or how the story goes after that.
Yeah, but 19, up 12, going in the fourth quarter. Credit coaching and whatnot.
They had two 7-footers.
Yeah. At the time, Kofi had graduated. He had Musa, but he just basically took the ball out of RJ's hands.
Yeah.
He denied RJ and AJ and made other guys. And it was a tough one for us. But you live and learn from it. That one does hurt.
Yeah. So, but that was one of those things. It kind of reminds you guys, because you obviously had future NBA players on that team. Like it reminds them that got to finish, and they think those 2 guys were better for it down the road.
Yeah. It is like when you look back on it. I think people take for granted the amount of times we've been to Fordham or St. John, whatever the final's been. Over these years, and just take for granted of like our success and how hard it is. Think of all the legends that have coached in the CHSAA who have not won. Yeah, they've not won, absolutely. And it's hard. It's hard to win.
Yeah,
especially even from 2015 to now. Social media,
it's incredibly
what the kids have to go through, the real time of what they're experiencing, the pressure from their parents and handlers and AAU coaches and whatnot.
Getting them to the court, just getting everything in line and everything, and then getting them in the game. Like sometimes they just don't, some kids just don't make it through preseason.
I tell the kids all the time, every day, these got to be 2 hours where there's no. Me personally, like if I have a rough day at work, I have a good day at work. I have something going on, personally. My mind's spinning. Like hopefully for 2 hours, that's an ideal practice time.
Yeah.
For 2 hours, your brain is locked into what we have going on, and it's easier said than done. But try to get that to be a space where your mind is, not on a phone, not on a screen, not TikToking, for everybody involved.
Locked in. Is that a good term for what you guys did on Sunday?
Yeah, locked in.
53 points in the first half.
53 points. Hashtag created by Jefferson back last spring. GPSP. GBSP. Get back spank Pat was the hashtag. We have not talked about it until now because it's out there. It's public now. But that was the, slogan they made last year. Mm-hmm. And, it was interesting. It was Saturday night, and Dylan Perry and Hassan Karesi text me. They're like, are you going to bring it up? And sent a screenshot of something months ago. And I said, thank you. Took the screenshot from Dylan and Haas. Yeah. Sent it to everybody from my staff, to our managers, to our players, to our athletic trainer on our team thread. And as Haas said, nobody's going to spank Coach Pat.
You obviously saw this the first time. Who told you what this meant?
My players.
Okay. Your reaction, because you're an adult, but you can't punch the wall when you hear something like this. But
I laughed in the spring. Okay, I laughed. And I thought it would just kind of be over. Yeah. And then September 21st, 22nd, 29th. I don't know. It was a Monday in September that it resurfaced. Okay. And
so your kids. So that's interesting because it seemed like when I watched them, I was like, man, this team. I didn't just watch the first game, but I was like, man, this team looks like they were. So that might have been the motivation, right?
Yeah, I think that. I think also we were up 20 with like 5 to play last year in the game at LIU and only won by 2. Yeah, almost blew it. Yeah. I respect our guys for having my back for something like that, and I think their mindset. I keep going back to that loss at St. Francis. Got us to where we were Sunday. Got us to where we were Friday. Mm-hmm. The connectiveness right now in this group, and the people being like really happy that we lost that first game. Yeah. I think it's done a lot for us.
One of the things we haven't really talked about this. We've mentioned Danny Carbuccia, but we haven't really talked about the idea that you're going to have an adjustment period because you have a new point guard. I wouldn't say you don't have a true point guard, but you have a new point guard. Yeah. Did Hassan play like the point guard you need on Sunday?
9 assists. Didn't play the last 5 minutes of the game, being the lead we had.
8 rebounds, 9 assists. 8 rebounds, 9 rebounds for Adonis. Yeah, 9 and 6 rebounds for Hassan. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he was the ball movement, the unselfishness across the board, the backdoor cuts, the sharing of the ball 1 through 15 remain our main guys. But yeah, Haas doing what he did. He never got sped up in a game where they want to speed you up. Mm-hmm. He controlled it, and there was no a little on the inside stuff. Like there was no sort of. Joe talked about egos, right? I think going into game 1, there was a lot of egos. It's natural. You're number 1 in the country. Yeah. You're coaching kids. You're feeling yourself. I think the egos have gone away, you know. But Haas was tremendous Sunday. All our ball movement, I think we had 23 assists on 30 made shots. I mean, who does that in high school basketball and whatnot?
You say about egos, and I can't imagine your team ever being selfish, which is kind of what the implication is when you hear egos. But it just they all probably want to have their moments. Yeah, they all want to have they all want to have the huge game, right? Yeah. And I think it's kind of like let's just not all kind of like bump into each other trying to do this. Let's let it happen.
And I keep saying when we thrive as a team, everybody individually thrives. So when we go ahead and everybody shares the ball, and now we have Friday night we had 5 guys in double figures. Yep. I think Sunday we had 4 or 5 guys in double figures. And some night Friday night it was Adonis, right? He was the one who had a near triple double. Sunday it was, when it comes to scoring, Josiah led us. Yeah. Thursday night on ESPN it might be Dylan, it might be Haas, it might be a guy off the bench, it might be Josh. I don't know who it might be, but our thing is, if you're not a starter, can you bring energy off the bench? If you are a starter, could you play to a point where you get us in a spot where we could spell you a couple minutes and then come out of halftime and be laser focused on what it is and score 53 points? Yeah. But I was more proud of our defense on Sunday, despite giving up 70 points.
Yeah. Day 23 in the fourth. Yeah. I think I'm busy, and I am. But I heard you kind of ran through your schedule for the next 48 hours. Let's talk about today. We're taping on Tuesday. We tape Wednesday. You got a meeting at 10 o'clock. Obviously, we're going to get you out of here for that. Yeah. But what goes on after that meeting?
So had a meeting before this.
Okay,
Work related. Have another work related. We are then going to have a production Zoom with ESPN. We are on ESPNU on Thursday night.
Oh, yeah. I watch that
There's only
sometimes.
8 ESPN high school games this whole year. They've cut back a little bit. Now there's more and more platforms. There's NBA TV, there's streaming, there's this and that. But so we'll hop on a production Zoom with the entire broadcast team for Thursday. When that finishes, it's myself, it's some of our players. As you know, preparing for a game, the play-by-play in color, the producer. We will then, thankful to our school administration and many people, we will get on a bus. We'll head to Manhattan. We will get to practice at the famed NBA PA gym in Midtown, which is a cool experience. It's unique. Basically, the NBA PA gym was started that any NBA player that's part of the union, which they all are, can use that gym 24/7. And you go in there, locker room, facility. So we're going to go down and we're going to practice. We've done that before.
Yep.
We have an alum who works in the NBA offices. We have connections down there. But when it ends, something unique this year is going to be the education side. So we have 3 former NBA players, I think maybe up to 4 now, led by Sean Livingston, who's the head of the union, if you know who Sean was, 6'8", 6'9", tremendous player. And, and we're going to sit down. We're going to talk about mental health. We're going to talk about financial literacy. It's going to be a keep it real conversation. It's not going to be political. It's going to be keep it real from these guys. What have they experienced and life? And our guys are looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it. So we'll have that, and then we'll leave there. We'll head to dinner in Manhattan, and then tonight, our alum Boogie Flan got the whole crew tickets. We're going to go to MSG. Great doubleheader: BYU, Clemson, Florida, UConn, and Boogie took care of all of us. And every player and kind of program, like, hey, we get you 4 tickets, we get you this. We're rolling 25 deep tonight. Everybody, players, coaches, managers, our digital team, like, we'll be there. No, I don't have any more tickets for whenever this comes out for others, but we'll do that. And then we'll flip around. Tomorrow is actually parent-teacher conferences, so we don't have school tomorrow. Yeah. We're going to hit the road. Again, through our connections, Alexis Nunez, his brother's on staff at Delaware. We're going to stop. Christian, White Plains legend, Ferris legend there. Yeah. We'll stop at Delaware to practice. And then we have some commitments with the ESPN game, team dinner-wise. And then Thursday, we're on ESPNU. We'll head back after playing Paul VI. Paul VI is the number 2 player in the country. Watched him last night. He made his first 13 shots, 6'6" guard. I remember seeing him as a freshman at City of Palms, going, that kid's going to be a stud. Now, 4 years later, we're playing him. Yeah, we sold out ESPNU Thursday night. Then we get our home opener Friday. It's our only home game until mid-January. Yep. It'll be electric in there. Monsignor Scanlan, who's much improved this year. They have some really talented guys. Dwayne does a great job, and that gets us to the end of this week's podcast of inside stuff going on. And crazy time. Was going over with my staff, and then I was going over with my wife, and then balancing in all that, and school in general, and work, and seeing alumni down in the Nova area, the Northern Virginia area. Yeah. Why I'm out there, and it's gonna be some stretch.
I heard he had a nice little babysitter on Sunday at the county center. Who was hanging out with the kids?
Yeah. So my kids, next thing you know, I'm seeing there in pictures with Tom Izzo. Yeah. We had a Columbia, Monmouth, Plattsburgh. There was a college coaches throughout the day, but I get to my phone, and I turn my phone off during the game, so it sits in the locker room, and I go to look, and Tom Izzo's taking photos. He's literally got my nephew in his arm, my son in his other arm, my daughter's spying with him, and I think I don't know what exactly was said, the whole story, but he went over, had a conversation with my wife on thanks for being a coach's wife, and thanks for allowing me to do what we do. And
did she know who he was? Yeah,
she did. She did. Yeah. And I think people had a different appreciation for him, because you watch Coach Izzo, he's intense during the game. Yeah. But I've seen a different side of him, and I think everybody Sunday, to my knowledge, he took pictures with everybody. He signed autographs. He didn't act like a celebrity, and he was tremendous. So, and somebody said this to me, for him to lose to Duke Saturday, right, their first loss of the year. Mm-hmm. To get on a plane, yes, he's got a private plane, but to get on a plane, come into White Plains, show love to Josiah, Falana, Rhodes, his parents, his brother, and us, it, I think, shows, because guys lose, then they're like, hey, I'm going to come to the next one, or I'm coming back. Yeah. So he was, the county center staff said he was great, and they deal with a lot of different people over there. But yeah, he was watching. He distracted the kids for a couple minutes.
Nice, and I get to enjoy watching you guys win. Josiah, his guy,
3 wins this weekend. Just so everybody knows. Friday night we beat Hayes.
Yep.
Saturday I made my kindergarten girls basketball.
Yeah.
Coaching debut.
Okay, how'd that go?
It was great.
You won,
great.
obviously.
Taylor. Yeah, everybody wins in kindergarten.
Yeah.
It's part of what's wrong
Who
with
they play? Is it
society.
rec?
It's co-ed rec. Yeah.
Okay.
It was day one.
Okay.
And then we beat Jefferson Sunday. So 3-0 on the weekend.
Did you sit in the chair? Did you stand? What did you do with the coaching?
It was just practice on Sunday, Saturday, after our own practice. So I went from scouting report, the county center, to 5-foot rims, and let's shoot up to the ceiling, not throw the ball in her hand, pass and catch, making sure nobody got hurt. But I'm an assistant coach, so
I can't wait. I can't wait till you get your first email from a parent. Oh, I can't wait. I'm gonna read on air.
Yeah, that's it.
Read on air.
Kindergarten basketball.
No, amazing, Coach Pat. You're gonna get to go watch Boogie, as you said this week. When they play
tonight.
Watch Boogie tonight. So exciting. I hope you can sit back and enjoy that, because Boogie's obviously had a little bit some ups and downs, but overall he's playing. Great.
Exactly.
And Florida's playing well. So I want to thank All Pro Cleaning and Restoration, White Plains Hospital, our crew here at LMC Studios, LMC Media, Astrid, who just does a fantastic job, and Coach Pat, Coach Arbitello for joining us this week. Coach, we'll let you get back to your meeting. That'll do it. We'll see you next week. The Inside Stepinac Basketball Podcast is back, and once again, it is brought to you by All Pro Cleaning and Restoration, a Balfour company, commercial